embrace that vision with us, and yeah, let's just move forward.
Now moving on with our program, we have a video to show from the Minister of Multicultural Affairs, who unfortunately couldn't be with us but has sent something to show.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Zoe Bedison. I'm the Minister for Multicultural Affairs in the Malinauskas Local Government. Thank you for inviting me here to the Peniel Free Pentecostal Church Career Expo 2023. I give you my apologies that I can't be there in person. On the outset, I'd like to thank Pastor John and the dedicated volunteers at the church for putting this event together. Our young people deserve every opportunity to reach their potential, and I applaud the determination you have to support the young people in our community. Events like this provide a platform for young people and adults from our multicultural communities to network and make informed decisions about their career choices. On behalf of the Government of South Australia, I thank the Church for their dedication and contribution of our thriving African community and to our proud multicultural state. I commend everyone involved in this Career Expo, and I will wish you all the best towards creating a brighter future for South Australia.
Now, as we move on, we're going to welcome a PowerPoint from the Department of Education and Training from TAFE, and Sister Mongas is going to help us go through it.
Okay, so as we all know that university is not for everyone, and we say that in the most, it doesn't have to be yours, you don't have to go to university to be successful. Recently, TAFE SA has released a number of free courses that you're able to take that are funded by the government, and obviously we know that these courses prior to this were you have to pay them for yourself, or they were partially funded by the government. But now there's a numerous of free courses, and we can just go through them a little bit. There's different departments that you can explore prior to uni, and this can also be a pathway to university to a degree. So something like a diploma in nursing can give you some level of accreditation to go on and do a Bachelor of Nursing, or if it's a diploma or a certificate in engineering, or any of these different departments or different sectors of work can also give you some level of knowledge, and also you can get a job through these. So I encourage everyone to explore these free courses that you can now enroll yourself and get it done, and you get free accreditation, and you can use this towards employment. And also, we'll go through the website, Skills SA. So yeah, we'll go through the website of Skills SA, which is basically also different courses and employment opportunities. Skill Finders. So yeah, this website. So this is the pamphlet that we're provided by Skills SA, which takes you to trainings that you can go through that can work for you. So maybe if everyone can just open their phones, if you have access to the internet, there's also internet here, and we can it's an interaction. You can just go through the website, and you can find different courses. You can just explore the website and find different courses that you can enroll yourself to, and they're also free as well. So you can enroll yourself through and also gain employment through these courses as well. So university isn't just the only option. If it's something that you don't feel like you can be dedicated to long-time strenuous work, and maybe not everybody has the stamina to go through that. So these are also courses that you can study part-time, full-time, and just find anything that works for you, especially for maybe mothers and people that are looking after families that don't have all the time in the world to study through a 3 or 4 year degree. So Skills SA provides also numerous of different courses, and you can also take your qualification levels. You can search through different interests and passions that you already have and look through courses that, are available to you. So yeah, just thank you. So that's basically it. So you have Skills SA and TEF SA as well that provide these different employment and educational opportunities. Thank you.
Now moving on with our program, we'd just like to invite Professor Afe to come and to speak to us about social and community services. Welcome.
Good evening, everybody. For those who don't know me, my name is Serafin Mulegwa. I am a public officer and social welfare officer of Penny Free Pentecostal Church. So all these programs came out, all these visions came out, everything we are doing here, it always come out under my department. You can really imagine how big and busiest is this department. However, I never take the load on my shoulder myself. I have people like them. And them as well is too much for them sometimes. Them as well, they have other people like others. That's why we are community center. That's why we are community. We are coming together to organize something together, and once we have an idea, once we came with a common accord together, everything's make easy. Life will become very easier for us. For this seminar to be organized, it took us a while to get people, the speakers, like, as everybody knows, this is the busiest country ever. It's not like Congo in my country. This is a very busiest country. But finding the people on a weekend cancel their shift, like you did, some of you did it, to just come here, we really appreciate. We really thank you very much for coming. And we can't really wait to speak to you on our little break, when we're gonna speak to you face to face, because after hearing from you here, we will have knowledge about who you are, about your organization, and then we will come to you, knocking on your door, grab some opportunities, because I know all of our speakers here, they have a lot of opportunities for people. Many people in our community, they really lack of knowledge of what's going on in this community of South Australia, especially in this community of the Northern. However, by starting from where we are now in this community, in this church, we believe the news will go out to others. The news will reach very far. For other people, they will gain much knowledge about who you are, who that is, which this organization, how did he do this, how did he manage that, and then people will come knocking on your door. I really thank you, Mangaza, for your speech. You said university is not only the door for success. I think that's why the skillful people are here. You can go to university and not really get whatever you are looking for. You can go through TEF and not found even whatever you're looking for. You can even stay at home and not finding what you are looking for. Until someone is coming and talk to you, or until yourself you get that courage and go and talk to the person. Say, look, I've been trying this, I've been trying that, I've been trying this, however, zero. And that person can give you his experience or her experience. Through that experience of that person, you can now realize that, yes, you can do something else. And that is another pathway you can use. So I really thank you, everybody. I can't wait to hear much about you. I can't wait. I know some of organizations here, and my friend Mayor is here. He does not have an organization, but the council is his organization. He's a big one. He's a header. At least I know him. He's my friend. However, other people, they will need to know and to listen and to understand that mayor can still offer something else which is not the council politics or the council situation. Mayor can redirect you. Mayor, I can remember last time in 2009, Mayor gave me, connect me to the Virginia farm, for the job seeker. And I did send people there, and so many people works there. And I was, oh wow, this is the mayor. Okay. So he's not only in the office as a mayor, but he's there as well to connect people to the community. So we can't wait to hear from you. We really appreciate your time for coming. May God bless you so, so much. This is just the beginning here, but believe me, next step will be, maybe this world will be smaller for people, maybe. But thank you very much once again for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Next speaker, we're just going to welcome Peter from Department of Child Protection.
Sorry about that. Sorry everybody about that. That's not what you do when you going for an interview or for a job interview. Yes. Thank you everybody. Thank you for the Penry Church. Thank you for Pastor John and the church community. I am really humble and very thankful being an African to see what this church has done. What you started very small here is going to have a ripple effect to our community. We need these such centers for us, and you're exemplary for the whole of us in South Australia. Thank you. So my name is Peter Gala. I work for Department for Child Protection. I'm a senior social worker there. I worked since 2009. Department for Child Protection is a government agency that is responsible for protection of state children. Children are met in Australia. Children are protected, like in our various countries where we come from. It is our responsibility. Extended families are the most important immediate people that respond in terms of family issues and things. But in Australia, we have the whole department is assigned for child protection. So within the Department for Child Protection, we have multicultural services. Our main job is to work with people from CAL background, that is newly arrived, maybe refugee, or people have been here for a very long time. Child protection is a very complex system. A lot of even people, even Australians themselves, they also struggle to navigate the system. So what we do is, when families from child protection or from, let's say, for example, from South Sudan who are involved with child protection, then if it's not a very serious cases, well, mostly we get involved. We sit down with the family, we talk to the young people. We also do advise our social workers as well to understand that the people coming here, there's the different cultural element to the child protection concern. Different parenting style, the way we're raised is completely different. So we give that perspective before any decisions are made. And at some stages, the cases can be very quite serious. As we're human beings, we come here, there are some social issues that affect families. You find some families who might be struggling with alcohol, just so many other issues. Sometimes there's a need for these children to come out of the family and then we look for extended family. We just want to do it like the way in Africa. We have to keep the children within the communities or within that environment. That's why we're coming in. But man, I have prepared PowerPoint, but I really don't really see the need for me to go through that PowerPoint now. I want to keep it to the theme of the Career Expo. I just want to share my own experience. I came here as a 20-year-old. I still remember the date very well, on the 12th of October, 1999, at 9 p.m. We landed in a small airport in Adelaide. This Adelaide airport is now bigger, you know. Before it was quite a small airport. But one thing that I had when I came, and different from now, is how much our African people are in here. I was one of the youngest people, but we don't have many African people here. So if you see somebody walking across the road, you will go and rush and greet and, you know, introduce yourself. And you'll be so excited to see another African person. Over time, our population grew, but which is also a good thing. You know, now our numbers are growing and we're representing it, you know, and in such a way. But one thing that I want to really say is, one of the speakers said here, university is not everything. And building a network and having friends and having that network, support network around you is very, very important. It's a paramount, actually, for the key for your success. My own experience, when I was here the first time, we didn't have the luxury, you know. You call a relative home, say, I want to study, I want to do this. Oh, you might be a doctor, engineer. You know, these three main things, you know. And unfortunately, they don't even know what it takes to be a doctor, what it takes to be an engineer, because it's a collaborative. The school system in Australia is a teacher, a parent, and a student. These three elements need to work together, you know. So if I just basically just say, you become a doctor, and for me to become a doctor, I need to sit with my parents. How many parents are here in this room? So how many homeworks do you have to sit with your children and do their homework? So basically, half of the school work is done at home, and you're still paying school fees. You see? You know? So basically, so what I'm trying to say is that we have to be supportive. Any child that is going to make their own decision, or if they're going to be setting on a career path advice, you have to do it with a collaboration with your parents. There's a school counselor. You speak to the school counselors if you're stuck. Get your parents, you know, collaborate together. And university is not everything. There's TAFE, like what our sister was telling before. And we have other sporting activities, sporting training. You can do sport if you're good at sports. Sports is also another aspect, you know, that we can another avenue that we can put on. But most important thing is respect, collaborative work with your parents. So my role as in Department for Child Protection, I've seen a lot of family issues that stemming from teenagers, young people, just due to miscommunication with their parents. And it stems from choices of school. You know, sometimes we don't really know what these young people are struggling through, but we tell them what to do. We tell them to become a doctor. How can I be a doctor, or how can I be an engineer while I don't have that capacity, but I am very good at what I do with my hand? Very good example is I used to, before embarking on studying social work, I was working in school as a BSSO. What that means, bilingual school service officer. Well, my role is to work with students and sit down with them and advise them, and you know, if they struggle with anything, I'm in the link with the teachers. So one young person who is very, very good at chef, is very, very good at cooking, is very good at things that he does with a hand. When he comes to year 12, the father was pushing him to go to university. And he came up to me and said, I am not university type. Believe me, I will not make it to university. So I need you to talk to my father. When I talked to the father was telling me, so are you at the university? I said, I'm a student at university, yes. He said, so you want my son not to go to university, but you are here and happy going to university. I said, no, university is not for everybody, but what your son is really, really good at what he does. And there's a really good opportunity for him to make through in life with that, if you give him the opportunity. Completely, we couldn't look eye to eye. He left. Unfortunately, this young man has to make a very difficult choice to leave home and go and stay with some friends. Very, very sad. But I was still up with him. I still support him in his decision. Eventually, he went and did vet course from one of his year 12 subjects. And then he ended up doing apprenticeship in Hilton Hotel. Hilton Hotel as a chef. He done really, really well. As this current as we speak, this young man now is a man, grown-up man, and he works in Dubai. He manages a 5-star hotel. And he bought a couple of homes for his dad, mom, and everybody saw it, the reason I'm sharing this is sometimes we intend to, especially the parents, and I don't blame them. How they're brought up, how they grew up is completely different. Education in Africa, it is a luxury. It is very rare, and it's the most important thing. It's very expensive first and first. Not many parents can afford it. Not many people can afford it. So, and then the education system in Africa is still based on that colonial period, where you are educated in certain level, and other industries are not there, But here, all of these industries are available. Give yourself opportunity. If you want to become whoever you want to be, you can. This is a place of opportunity. My strongest message to young people today is, you are in the right place. Go with a narrative, sometimes say, throwing the color card. Say, because I'm black, I didn't get that. That is a cop-out. And I'm being honest, because it's been said, believe in yourself, motivation. Just look at what does employee want? Integrity, trust, somebody that can be punctual, somebody that can be respectful. That is what people want, regardless of what industry. Even if you work in a farm, even if you're a car wash dealer, if you don't go on your job on time, nobody want to hire you. Another thing that I need to touch on is a lot of people apply for jobs. You apply for a job, before even the interview, you start judging your own self. Oh my God, I'm not even good. Then you become the interviewer, you become the assessor. Before you go to the interview, you're already panicking. Your morale is gone, and then you miss out. You really miss out. So it's all about preparation. Preparation. Make sure you research about the organization that you're going to do the interview on. Know the questions that are going to be asked. Make sure before the day you get a good sleep. Take a lot of things that you're going to say, your books, your notes, everything, and ask questions. Ask questions and be very confident. Be confident. That way, believe me, you get you always pass your interview. If you get how to maintain a job, if you are employed in that industry, sometimes be proactive. If you're having team meetings or anything, put yourself always out there. If people start, your manager says, who is able to do this? Volunteer. Volunteer. Make yourself available. That's how people notice about you. Most important thing, network. The wider network you have, like what Uncle was saying, the Uncle was saying before, the bigger network you have, the better opportunity you have. That is the recipe for success. And be available, be flexible, whatever the area that you're working in. And I think I'm going to stop here. Just before I stop, I just want to share my first job that I've done so many jobs. I've done jobs in factories. I've done job cleaning. I've done job in farms, you know. I'm hands-on. Up to today, I call myself multi-purpose. Yeah, I just finished my social work. I mean, I just finished completing my master's of social work. But if I want, I will leave that. The next time I go to the farm, I will do it, because at the end of the day, the money that you get from those things it's not put in your face that, you know, you got that money from being a social worker, you got money from where? Money is money, success is success. Make sure you get yourself opportunity to succeed here. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing your experiences, and I hope that everyone was taking some notes on different pathways that you can get to, and if you are applying for a job, remember to ask questions at those interviews. So we're going to go to our next presenter, and we're going to go through pathways in trading. And our first presenter, Brother Arsene. Welcome.
Thank you. Hello. Just share a little bit of my experience. I'm a carpenter. I have been a carpenter for about 13 years in total. I started my apprenticeship when I was 18. Fresh out of high school, I had no idea what I wanted to do. My mom told me you should go to uni because you can make it, but that wasn't for me. I actually wanted to become an electrician. So I did a TVET course, and I got scared of possibly electrocution. So I said, I'm not going to do that. My brother's an electrician. So I thought, if he's an electrician, why don't I do something else and maybe we can work together? So I did my apprenticeship 2010, and so the apprenticeship goes for 4 years. There's a lot to expect when you're fresh apprentice. Your day-to-day job the first year, or the first 6 months rather, is just sweeping up and go and buy lunch. That's all you do. So you sweep up and you go buy lunch. After 6 months, maybe if you're lucky, or if the guys like you, you'll start doing a little something, get that tool, get that, get this. But the main thing is to not be discouraged, because sweeping up, like when you're building a house every day for 6 months, it's not the best, it's not fun. But when I was doing my time, there was a friend I used to go to the gym with, and he said, a lot of people like yourself, or Africans that I've met, they all do apprenticeships, but I've never seen anyone finish, because you all just quit. And I said, oh, thanks. But it was words that I needed to hear, because I was thinking about leaving as well. But I pushed on and I kept going. But the time I reached my 3rd year, so the course goes for 4 years, the apprenticeship. By the time I reached my 4th year, my employer said, I'm going to sign you off, which is very rare, it doesn't happen. He said, we're going to sign you off and you will be qualified. And I said, I still got a year to go. But he said, no, he said, we'll sign you off, you will start supervising jobs, you'll be in charge, you can hire who you want to work with, you can bring other people from your community. And yeah, I said, good. I got my little cousin a job in Sydney. He's now finished as well. I got another guy, another job, but he didn't finish. So he wanted somebody to just basically hold his hand throughout the 4 years apprenticeship, and I told him that's not going to happen, because I'm here, I'll guide you through the main things, but I'm not going to supervise you and watch over you. And if the other supervisor needs somebody to go sweep up the site, I'll send you to go sweep up the site, because I did that. Just because I know you on a personal level, you're my friend, I I'm not going to let you not sweep up the site. So I'm here basically, my experiences are very different to a building site. I can do basically pretty much anything when it comes to building a house, but I just like to stick to my element. I'll stick to what I know best. And when you're doing an apprenticeship, like I said, there's a lot to expect. Money, you got to sacrifice. That's if you're not willing to sacrifice, you're not going to make it anyway. So the first couple of years, you're not going to make good money. Once you're qualified and you have your own business, maybe you'll make good money, but you will make good money if your work is 100%. So if you can't treat somebody else's house like your own, like clean up after yourself, if you leave somebody's house a mess, they're not going to recommend you. And word of mouth is the biggest advertisement as tradespeople that we can get. If anybody, sorry, I'm jumping ship. When I first came to Adelaide about 3 years ago, I was a little bit disappointed in the young people, to be honest, because everybody was doing the same thing. And I remember when we were building a church, and I said, what can we do? There's a lot of young people here, but nobody can do anything. They all just work in disability and aged care and all that's old people job. And I said, while you're still young, you should do something that you enjoy. I do carpentry. When I was in high school, like I said, I wanted to be an electrician. I had a teacher that kept encouraging me to do carpentry. So you should be a carpenter. And I said, no, I want to be an electrician. But he said, woodwork is your element. You're the best in this class. Why don't you want to do that? And I said, I don't want to be a carpenter. That was my mindset when I was still in high school. But as soon as I finished, he kept calling me. After we graduated, he said, are you still applying for carpentry jobs? Put me down as your reference. He said, you won't regret it. And until this day, I do not regret doing carpentry. I love what I do. I work for myself, so I wake up when I want. And I have no one watching over me. I'm my own boss. I have my own small company. And that's about it. Like I said, there's a lot of different trades. So you don't all have to be carpenters. You can be a plumber, you can be an electrician, a waterproofer, a landscaper. There's lots of different trades. Tiler, carpet layers. You just got to try it out, and maybe you'll find your hobby, you'll find something that you're really good at. You might not know that because you've never tried it. But how would you know if you don't try? And I've seen a lot of people, young people within our church that can be really good at trade, but they're just, where is he? Chris is there. Chris was at my house, I think last week, and I said, why don't you want to do trade? And I said, I can't, I feel like I'm going to get tired every day. He said, I'm going to go home and I'll be tired. And I said, whatever job you do, you're going to be tired regardless. It's part of life. You cannot get tired. That's why you go to sleep and rest. So, there is a couple of young people in here that could do trade. If anybody, I'm always around if you need any information. Always around church. That's it from me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Brother Sene. Before we go to the next person, we're going to take a short break with trade, and we're going to welcome our mayor to come and just share a few things. Welcome.
Well, good afternoon. A little bit unexpected. I don't want to talk for too long. I just want to say thank you all for being here. The first step in any opportunity for work or career is showing up. You're the one that's got to get out of bed. Mum and Dad can't hold your hand forever. All right, for the young people here. So thank you for coming along tonight. Thank you to the church for putting this on, to all of the wonderful speakers. The great thing about today is you can listen, learn and understand from those that have gone before you. But everybody's experience is different. Everyone has their own story to tell. And it's great to hear the truth and reality of what it's like. We can't all be TikTok stars or soccer players. If we were, I'd be rich, but I'm not. But what we're hearing today is great opportunities for long-term employment, for passion and purpose in work, that also brings the light of God on you and your family, but most importantly builds a community. For many in this room, your journey, or your parents' journey to Australia hasn't always been easy. But if you can do something that you're passionate about, something that you're skilled about, and something that you really want to get involved in, then you will not just change your world, but the world around you. And for the parents that are here today, we need all the different skills in this community. Playford is one of the fastest growing communities in Australia, and we're going to need everything. We are going to need doctors, lawyers, engineers. We also need teachers, nurses, plumbers, carpenters, aged care workers. We need social workers. We need employment agents. We need small business owners who are going to create stuff that I haven't even thought of. It's going to make my life and your life easier. We need that. And for the parents here today, and I'm a parent, when I look at my two little kids, they're a lot younger than the ones in this room. You want them to be the best things in the world. You want them to be this, you want them to be that. We also want them to be happy in the God-given talent that they've got and let them shine. Let's not live our dream through them. Let their dream live out to show us. It's really important. The parents that are in the room today. And for the young people that are here, take any opportunity that you can get. Now, when I look around all the parents in this room, I look at Apostle John and his career, Seraphim and Possible and me. The jobs we have today wasn't my first job. I didn't wake up and become the mayor. I didn't roll out of bed at 18 and say, look at me, I'm the mayor. You know, my first job, I ran around collecting money for people that deliver the newspapers. Had to knock on the door and ask the old lady to pay up. You learn pretty quickly, knocking on the door to collect the money, how to communicate with people. Now, I know in this room, all of the people we hear from today, the jobs they've got today are not their first job. But those first jobs were fundamental in getting to where they wanted to go. So don't wake up and think you're going to be the CEO. Get out there and sweep the floor. Get out there and serve the food. Get out there. My second job, I worked in aged care to put myself through university. You know, and I would work at the hospital as well as being the mayor now. But that wasn't my first job, was just being what I am today. But those jobs helped change me to get the roles that I wanted. And for those of you that are going to go on to university, fantastic. And I know some of you in here, you always wonder about which university to go to. You want to go to Harvard, you want to go to Yale, this is what parents want. Trust me, when I'm injecting someone at the hospital to save their life, no one asks me what university I went to. They just want to know I've got the skill. And it's no different to the carpenter. No one asks them what company or trade school they went to. They just look at the wonderful bench or the beautiful table that they built and know they can get the job done. I think sometimes parents get carried away with some of this stuff. All right? Absolutely. But lastly, to all the young people that are here, it doesn't matter about where you've come from, it only matters where you're going. And I can tell you, when we heard from Peter earlier on, he's 100% right. We want people that are passionate, show up on time, have the energy to give it a go, learn from their mistakes, be friendly, but most importantly, work as part of a team, because no one can do it on their own. You do that, you'll achieve your dream, you'll get the career that you want, and careers aren't always a straight line, they go sideways. Sometimes you have to take a step back to go forward. Never let that deteriorate from where you're going. But what I'm really proud about is showing up today. You show up today, you show up tomorrow, you show up the next day, and in 25 years' time, you'll be up here talking to these little kids that are running around out here about the careers and jobs and businesses that you've created. And hopefully today is the spark, not only changes your world, but my world too. Good luck to you all.
Thank you very much for the words, Mayor. Now we're just going to ask the media team to please replay again the multicultural video that we showed before, just for those who did come late and weren't able to see it. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Zoe Bedison. I'm the Minister for Multicultural Affairs in the Malinauskas Government. Thank you for inviting me here to the Peniel Free Pentecostal Church Career Expo 2023. I give you my apologies that I can't be there in person. On the outset, I'd like to thank Pastor John and the dedicated volunteers at the church for putting this event together. Our young people deserve every opportunity to reach their potential, and I applaud the determination you have to support the young people in our community. Events like this provide a platform for young people and adults from our multicultural communities to network and make informed decisions about their career choices. On behalf of the Government of South Australia, I thank the Church for their dedication and contribution of our thriving African community and to our proud multicultural state. I commend everyone involved in this Career Expo, and I wish you all the best towards creating a brighter future for South Australia.
Now we're going to welcome our next speaker, Patience, to just share a few things.
Hello everyone. I would like to thank the Peniel Center for inviting me to share my story. And thank you, Pastor John, and everyone for reaching out. I'm just going to talk about 3 main points of my life where I had to ask myself about my future career. The first time I had to think about my future career was when I was just finishing year 12. And I went into a counselor who was supposed to help us find our passions. And she asked me, what do you want to do in the future? I'm like, that's an interesting question. I always grow up knowing that I'm going to be a doctor because that's what my dad made us believe. In fact, my dad was in a refugee camp, worked so hard, and sent my big brother to a med school. So we all knew that's the pathway, and we're going to follow in his footsteps. So here I am, and at that time I came in Australia 2 years ago. I was forced to go back to year 11. In fact, I was forced to go back to English school. When I came to Australia, I was writing a year 12 exam. So when I came back here in Australia, they were like, oh, your English is not good enough, so you have to go back and learn English. So me and my brothers were very upset. Against our will, we went and learned English again. And then 2 years later, I had to think about my future career. At that time, I only written 3 year 12 subjects, which is not even enough to go to uni or to do anything. I was puzzled, upset, confused, and frustrated. And at that time, I knew a lot of my friends were good to go, and they're gonna leave high school. At that time, we were in Thurberton Senior College. And my brothers, they're all been accepted. I didn't know what to do. And then my friends, I visited MRSC at that time, and then my friend was in the office. She's like, well, your English is good. Why don't you do a test that? It's a test that anyone can do. At that time, you have to be 21 years of age to do it. So it allowed people to get into higher education without a year 12 qualification. I'm like, oh, why did my counselor tell me that? You know, I kept asking myself questions. At that time, I told her that I want to be a psychologist because I like talking. And then she was like, oh, that's a very competitive, career course. You have to have a really higher marks to achieve that. And I'm like, well, I always knew I want to be a doctor, so I don't know anything else to do. I tried to enroll into nursing course. I'm like, oh, I don't want to you know, I don't want to be touching blood, so that's not for me. So I did that STAT test. Surprisingly, I think I did well, but I wasn't sure whether I'm going to get into a course or not. And then one day, I was in my friend's office again. I looked on the internet, on my university office. I got in to do psychology. And that was my first preference. Then I was like, oh, I just got in. And my friend looked at me, she's like, so why are you standing there for? Start jumping and be happy about it. I'm like, oh. So I was supposed to be happy, yay! I went to uni, it wasn't easy. As a second language English speakers, I was confused. I was lonely, I didn't have friends, uni wasn't fun for me. And I tried so hard, and 4 years later I graduated with a degree in psychology. I'm gonna ask myself a question, so I'm gonna be out there and be a psychologist, yay! I went online trying to find for a job. They're like, oh, you have to be a registered psychologist. I'm like, what the hell is a registered psychologist? Why did anyone tell me this? Why would my university people couldn't tell me about this? I'm sharing this because that's what most people go through. So we end up doing all this education without knowing where to lead us. But it's okay. It's okay because everything is meant to be. Anyway, so I continue in my search. And I was forced again to enroll into a mental health master's. Then I discovered I wasn't going to practice as a mental health practitioner because I'm not registered into anything. I'm like, this is ridiculous. Then my lecturer encouraged me to do social work. I'm like, I really don't like social work. Anyway, if that's the only thing can allow me to practice mental health, which I love at the moment, so be it. I had to cut my master's short to a graduate certificate, and then off I go. I went to do social work online, working full-time. And then the first reading I read about social work blew my mind. I'm like, oh my God, this is what I've been wanting to do all my life. What? Why didn't anyone tell me this? I was dedicated into studying social work, 2 years master's, and when I finished was my greatest achievement. And then 2 years later, I did my accreditation. I'm now a mental health accredited social worker. So basically, I can do what psychologists can. So sometimes we go in life, go bumpy roads. Sometimes we are forced to do things that we don't like, things that we don't want to do or we never dream of doing. But there's always a way out. If we put the dots together, there's always a way out. Giving up is not a solution. And just because you can't get where you always wanted to be, it doesn't mean that there's not another pathway for you. So my big lesson today is, apparently we never lose in life. So if we never lose, what do we do? Anyone has an answer? We win or? Has to be two. If you don't win, what do you do? Thank you. So we always win or learn. So if you ever felt like, oh, I can't get anything right, I'm such a loser. No. It's a learning opportunity. Figure out what you need to learn from there and move on. Now, my last point of my speech today, it's about our well-being. I'm a proud owner of a mental health organization called InterHealth Services. I just started last year. And the idea came about where I was in high school again. I went to interpret, and then a psychologist is asking the person that, don't you have psychologists in your area that can explain things in your language, maybe you understand better, because I don't think you have any issues. That got me upset. I went online, I couldn't find anything. So from that day I said, I'm gonna represent. I'm gonna work hard to represent. So InterHealth Services is founded on the idea that everyone can come and represent, everyone can come and be heard, be assisted, and give a hand to people. So it's one point where you have a question, it could be health related, social related, it could be anything. You come and we direct you to the right path, or we provide services that is culturally centered and integrated. So it doesn't mean it's just for multicultural people. However, it's an integrative service. Anyone can come and be served. I have some flyers over there. So the main services that we are currently providing is counseling and therapy. And we have integrated domestic cleaning into it. The idea is that to allow people who are not even qualified to come and work to the InterHealth services. So that's just a starting point of a bigger idea. And at the moment, we're in a process of recruiting cleaners and allied health assistants to come and work, because we can see the future is bright and the company is growing so fast. I can't handle all the services by myself. Yeah. So we see clients who have Medicare. So if you have a mental health care plan, you can come and you can get bulk bill, or you can get, depending on your financial circumstances, or we can charge you a little gap. We see clients who have NDIS and private clients. So anyone can come and see. Most of my clients that I see are young people. We have partnership with Headspace. I don't know if anyone knows Headspace. So I'm a private practitioner there and an employee as a mental health clinician. And I see a lot of young people, and most of them have anxieties around school and future careers. So if you have questions, don't stay in silence. Reach out to someone who can provide some assistance, who can problem solve whatever you are having and provide some answers. So if anyone want to reach out, you can ask Pastor Combera, Papa Serafin, or anyone. My phone is up there, and everybody's welcome. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sister Patience, for your story. That was really inspiring. And it is true, you either win or you learn. So I hope everyone takes that away from today. Our next speaker is Bernard from SA Pathology, so welcome.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, it's nice to be here. I'm humbled to be here. I would like to thank Pastor John for the invitation. So when I got the invitation, I couldn't turn it down because of the respect I have for him. Yeah, it's nice to be here. So I'm going to give a short presentation about what I do. So I work for SA Pathology, and I've been doing this for over 10 years, and my short speech is going to base how do I become a lab scientist, because that's my position. So I would like to give short background about me first. So I work for SA Pathology, and I work as a medical scientist, and I've been doing that for over 10 years now, as I said. And I work in multidisciplinary laboratory, so which means I work in hematology lab, biochemistry laboratory, clinical biochemistry, and transfusion medicine. So in hematology, we do a lot of research and diagnosis about diseases affecting blood, such as anemias, blood cancers, and leukemias and stuff. And I'm based at Lama Human Hospital. And the clinical biochemistry, we measure chemicals in our blood, such as sugar, glucose, screen for diabetes, and also metabolites, electrolytes. We test for kidney functions, liver function, cardiac function. And also in transfusion, we do pre-testing process before we issue any blood for transfusion. Let's say if you are anemic and you need blood for transfusion, so we have to do some tests before we can give you a compatible blood for transfusion. Yeah, so that's what I do. And I would like to give a short background before I go to the next slide. Basically, I come from Congo, and I came over to Australia in 2005. And I believe back then, I couldn't speak any English. I came here zero English. I remember in those days when we used to go to offices, when I got stuck, I would insert a French word or a Swahili word. And the person would be like, are you speaking in other tongues or what? Yeah, so I couldn't speak any English, but this was my big limitation to do what I wanted to do. So I decided to do what I wanted to do because I had persistence and determination. So if you are persistent and you have the determination, you can do anything in life because what you need is within you. Okay? So I went to learn English to Thebaton Senior College. It was Patience of Impossible. We used to be there together. So I went there to learn English, and then I finished the course, and again I had to do 11, go back as Patience said. So I have to go back to 11, which I completed already in my country. But because of English, I had to do 11, year 12 again. And then I completed everything. I went to uni in 2009. And I went to do a course called Bachelor of Laboratory Medicine. And that course takes like 4 years. So by the grace of God, I completed that course in 4 years exactly. So because I had that determination. Yeah, so I work for SF Pathology, and I work in pathology sector. So what is pathology? Pathology is the study of diseases, including its causes and progression. So we test bodily fluids such as blood, urine, and body fluids, so like semen analysis and many other. And so the reason I'm saying this is because if you want to do this, you need to know what you are doing and why you are doing it, and the importance of what you are doing. So that's why I'm saying this. So I would like to speak about the importance of pathology. So pathology is essential for prevention, early detection, diagnosis, and treatment of diseases, including cancer, cardiovascular disease, diabetes, and many others. So, and pathology tests account for 70% of clinical decisions. So 7% of medical decisions rely on pathology. Okay, and 100% of cancer diagnosis relies on pathology. So if you don't know what's wrong with the patient, how are you going to treat them? So we provide this information to the doctors so that they can choose a right course of treatment for the patient. So pathology helps clinicians to determine treatment pathways and provide better outcomes for patients. So pathology, as I said earlier, is the engine room of healthcare. If there's no lab in hospital, then there's no way we can treat, the doctors can treat the patient. So we are integrated into all the major hospitals in in South Australia. So we are the Mulberry Hospital, Lama Human Hospital, Flinders, RA, QEH, all the major hospitals, also in the regional hospitals as well. We are integrated into those hospitals. So it's a government pathology. It's the largest pathology provider in South Australia. So how do you become, or if you want to become medical scientist or lab scientist, how do you become lab scientist. So to be medical scientist, if you want to do what I'm doing, then you have to go to uni and start Bachelor of Laboratory Medicine with honors at Uni ASA. So Uni ASA is the only uni in South Australia that provides this course. And so the duration of the course is 4 years full-time. So you're going to study biochemistry, immunology, histopathology, microbiology, transition medicine, and all these things. And so in order for you, or essential requirements for this, if you are doing year 12, you can do either biology, biochemistry, or physics. So you can do either of these. And then this will help you to prepare for this course. And then when you do this course, you need to do clinical placement, and you can go either to metro labs or regional labs. So this is very important. This is good because this provides opportunity for you to have connections. Because I've been working for over 10 years with essay pathology, and my first job that I got with essay pathology came from my placement. So because they like me, and as many people said before me, you have to show that desire, and then your desire will promote you. So you have to stay back. If you have to, you need to trade your time for favor. So that's what you have to do. So you can stay back. They don't pay you, but you stay back. You need to do what you have to do so that you buy the favor from the people. So that's how I got my job, and from placement. So the manager could not let me go. So I continued working, and then when I finished my degree, he offered me another position, and I keep going up until I become a senior medical scientist with essay pathology. So another way to get into this, another way to be a medical scientist is through TERF. You can do Diploma of Lab Tech for 12 months, and then after you can be admitted into uni, and then you complete 3 years instead of 4 years. So they will give you credit for what you've done at TERF. And then the career outcomes, you can be a lab medical scientist, you can be a research scientist, you can do PhD, or you can go on and do another test in order for you to be admitted into medicine. All right? So this is what I want to share with us, as I said earlier. So whenever you want to do something, you will face limitation problems. But don't let those problems or limitations to stop you doing what you want to do. So what you need is within you, your determination, your persistence. You can overcome them. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We're going to go back and jump into our pathways to trade. Unfortunately, our brother Peter is not here, so we're just going to jump and welcome Brother Bilaka.
Hello, everyone. Sorry, I'm a little bit nervous. I'm just used to being in the field, not talking like this. So I've wrote a little dot points, basically about the path and trades for the youth. Nathan Shukuru, I want to say actually thank you for the, I'll say my father here, for inviting me here to talk about this, because it's very important for the youth to actually understand, to get into this as soon as possible. Sometimes people realize so late, and they end up wasting time, and then figure out they don't know what to do. So pretty much I'm gonna say again, I'm from Congo, and I was raised in Tanzania. I came with my parents here in South Australia in 2008, and I started working when I was young. I would say I was around 9 or 10. So after that, I wasn't sure what I was doing because, jump from African to here is very different, like different life. So my goal is always like first priority, like me, religion comes first, no matter what. Secondly, my family. So I came here to Australia and I was like still young, but I had a little bit of mature age, like I knew what I wanted to do, like, so I'll say I thank God for that. And after that, after I'll say a few years, I started primary school. I went to some of the boys I see here, Thomas, Jeff. I studied in Ingo Farm. I went there and I studied primary school and I saw how everything was fun and stuff. I was just coming home, like, you know, seeing my parents. As long as there's food in the table, I'm all good, just eat. Next day, I'm going back again, like, you know. That was the life, enjoying it, but by the time you start growing up, you start figuring out, like, you know, you gotta start waking up. So for me, like, I went to high school, I went to Craigmore High, and that's when I was like, what should I do to start helping my parents and stuff? Because here we come to Australia here, especially young kids, our parents, they come very old. They start working big jobs, like such as, you know, some labor stuff, and it's harder for them. So I was like, for me, like, I feel so sorry for my parents. I didn't know, like, what to do to help them. So I decided, like, instead of, like, studying, to go into trading. But that idea came after finishing year 12. If I started sooner, I wouldn't have been, like, very far. But because of that, I didn't have the knowledge, and actually the assistant that we have or any this type of programs, I didn't know, like, where to go. So that's why I had to complete my year 12, and I decided, like, you know, when you're young, you always have a lot of goals you want to achieve. For me, like, yeah, of course, I wanted to make my parents proud. I wanted to be a doctor. I wanted to be a pilot. I wanted to be, like, you name it, like, just to make them happy. So I realized to be in that field sometimes, like, it's tough, you know? Especially when you come to Australia, it's that different language. You have to actually focus to be able to actually understand, like, you know, where to go. So for me, I figured out, like, you know, and that's where there's this program, like such a vet, I'll say traineeship, apprenticeship. They're all in those categories. So it's just up to you. For me, like, if I knew sooner, I would say that I would have done vet, and that could have get me into do other, such as, like, you know, apprenticeship or something like that. So for me, after that, I decided, like, you know, I think, like, and then the thing waked me up mostly. My father started getting sick, and I realized now, like, you know, I'm here, I'm a boy now, like, I almost finished at 12. Like, I'm here, like, I'm like, my parents my father was the only person who worked in the house because he's the man on the house. So I was like, it's not fair for him. We are boys here, 2 boys in the house, we're growing up, like, why am I? He just chilling like this, like, just playing soccer, or, like, you know, so I have to wake up, you know. So after that, like, I told my father, yeah, I want to do, like, trading. They didn't support me because they knew, like, there wasn't nothing there for me. They told me school first, then all that can come after. So I realized, like, if I do that, like, again, how I'm going to be able to help him? I needed something to help my father. So what I did every Saturday and Sunday, I was working with different trading men. So I would say that was like labor work. And when it's school time, I started working just with school until, like, yeah, there's one day, like, I had an opportunity because I always wanted to play soccer as well. The United called me, like, the youth team to go and try out, and I was like, oh, maybe this could be another path. But I didn't, like, I went there, a trial, but they called me out after the last round. They only took 1 player out of 100 people, they took one player, and I was like, what's the point, like, you know? So I gave up hope, but just started playing for fun. After that, I decided, like, you know, just to focus with school. So I decided to go to uni and do physio, because that's what I wanted to do. My priority is always like to help people, so I thought like physio would be good there, like I can work with disability people or like such a thing. But to a point, like I went to uni again, things started getting worse for my father, and I was like, nah, you know. So I dropped out. After dropping out, and I started sticking with labor work. So I've been in different fields. Like I would say, I know pretty much everything. I can build the house from the scratch, but the lack of it's all about experience, I'll say, in this world. The people I've been with, and that's how I built connection with different people, and that's how it made me keep going, you know. So I figured out if I do apprenticeship, it would have been harder for me. 4 years and less money, because apprenticeship, it goes different wages. First year, like Kakangu alisema, my brother said there, you have to sweep, they tell you go pick up your lunch, you know, you'll be thinking like, do they like me here or what? Like, you'll be so stressful, like to a point you were like, you know, I'm just gonna quit. But I'll tell you one thing, if you're that type of person who likes to quit, you never succeed in life. So you just have to try your best and stick with it. So for me, like, I've been with different bosses, and to a point, like, sometimes, like, I wanted to just turn my car and go back home and just sleep or, like, do something else. But all that experience, I'll say, has grown me in so many ways. Until today, I've become, like, way experienced with all this. And I would say, for the youth especially, and parents as well, for the youth, like, if you see your child, they're into something, like, it can bring this, such as, I'll say, like, there's a lot of field, apprenticeship, traineeship, vet, or like any academy. Please start them sooner, because the sooner the better for them. Because I realized if I started sooner, I could have been far. But I'm grateful also, because if I started like when I was young, I got a lot of experience, and that made me like to know a lot of things. And that's how I figured out like it was good for me, because I wanted to help my parents. So that was my first priority, like how can I help my parents and, you know, work at the same time. So I decided to do labor. I got a lot of experience in different fields, and then I was like, okay, now since I know this, you can't pretty much do anything until you finish your apprenticeship. So for me, it was very tough, and especially, like I said, religion came first for me. I always go with different bosses that want me to work on Friday, and that's the day I have to go and pray. So I was like, how can I be able to tell this? So not every boss is gonna tell you, oh, it's okay to come. So for me, I was like, you know what? I have to start my own thing. So when I started my own thing, I started working for different people, just sacrifice myself to actually get customers until people start knowing me, this guy knows this. So that's how I started building. And out of a sudden, I got a lot of knowledge, even like, you know, just doing a lot of things. And that's when I decided, like, you know what, let me just start my own business. And for that, there's a way, there's a path I'm gonna tell you guys soon. Since I got those experience, I decided like, you know what I'm gonna do? I had a guy in Sydney who, like, pretty much, if you wanna become a builder, you have to have this different process. You study, it's like a course, it goes for a month, and you can get your license for that. So for me, that's the path I wanted to take, because I knew apprenticeship would take longer than, like, you know, Kakangwa, my brother there said 4 years for him. For me, I saw that is very tough, and especially I love construction. I wanted to be in different field and do different stuff, because I'm guaranteed every day I'm gonna have work. If it's like I can't do tiling, I'll go and do plastering. If I can't do plastering, I'll go and do carpentry. If I can't do that, I'll do like kitchen. So every day, I'm guaranteed I have work. So that for me, and I decided like, I'm not just gonna start my business here. Like in God is willing, I wanna try to go back home. That's my first priority. I wanna go back to Africa and start my own, like pretty much the idea is that apprenticeship for people who actually, they need, I wanna sponsor kids to be able to actually get something out of their life, and it can actually be good, like for us, like back home as well. You see the life over there, how it's very tough. So out of talking all of this, like, for me, I finished year 12, I'll say, and go to uni, but I dropped out because I had different reason. But if you're that type of person who likes to, you think you can do it, please go ahead and study. But just don't be like, I don't want you guys to go there just because for the sake of the parents, they force you to go there and you don't like. Because I have my sister, her name is Joari, she's Sydney, she's a nurse. She's actually started working, but the shift was actually messing her up because like sometimes she has night shift, so every time like she comes back home so tired, the sleep schedule was messed up. So she decided like, now to study something else. So that's a waste of time again. So some people again, like I have my Aussie friend, his name is Michael, he's engineering. But I just feel like he has to go a different process because like he started engineering and he can do anything. He makes phones sometimes, fix phones and everything. But like because of like his family, he has a family now and he can't find any job here in South Australia. So he decided to actually, now it's like, I'll say he cut trees, Sometimes in life, like things doesn't work the way it's supposed to be. So you gotta try, I'll say, to sacrifice some stuff you love to be able to achieve like whatever you wanna get. And I'll say thank you again for this opportunity. That's good.
Thank you so much for that, Brother Bilaka. Now we're going to move on to our next session, and that is regarding business and entrepreneurship. And we'd just like to welcome our sister Everine and her partner to talk about stars. Welcome.
Hi everyone. We're actually an NGO. We work with survivors of torture and trauma, but we'll leave Robin to speak about that. And I thought, since everyone has been speaking about their uni experiences and study experiences in Australia, I will also share mine because I came to Australia when I was 14 years old. Also couldn't speak English like most people here. I could say like, hi, how are you? Because my dad put me in a English school in the camp before coming here, so which really helped a lot. So then it felt like I wasn't starting from scratch, even though I was starting from scratch really. And so I came here and I went to, when I came here, we went to Tasmania first. And Tasmania doesn't have the English language studies that people have here. And I basically got put into a school with Australian kids who could speak perfect English, and I couldn't speak anything, right? You can imagine how tough it was for me. It was horrible. But then I had a friend that could speak English, so Swahili and English, so we became friends. We didn't stay in Tasmania for too long with my family, so we came to Adelaide a month and 3 weeks later. So I always joke about my stay in Tasmania being like a holiday rather than I lived there. Then I went to Adelaide Secondary School of English, and I stayed there for about a year, and from there I went to high school. First it was the Jeps Cross Girls High School, then it was moved to Roma Mitchell School, but then maintained the education campuses. I swear to God I didn't hate boys. So I went to high school in year 10, right? And I found